7 years ago, I took a huge gamble on myself and I decided to leave my job to pursue my dream of becoming a full-time photographer. Over the years, I made many mistakes, but now that I'm on the other side, I see them as lessons learned. So here I am, sharing those lessons with everyone. Whether you're a hobbyist or a full-timer, there is always room to grow, and there is nothing wrong with making mistakes, only with not learning anything from them. My name is Regina, and this is the Probably Editing Podcast. So I made a video on TikTok today, and it was about how I had a girl reach out to me earlier today, and she, expressed all the concerns that I tend to hear, right? So I don't know how to pose. I've never really done a professional photo shoot, etc. Like the common concerns that we're used to hearing. But then she brought up a concern that I actually do hear quite often, and I don't know why I've never addressed it because it's something that I have dealt with before too, multiple times. But she let me know that while she's never done a professional photo shoot, her family has hired photographers, that are maybe friends of friends or something like that. And they've done family portraits like Christmas cards and stuff like that. And that every single time, the photographers will either wash out their skin tone or totally change the color of their skin. And it's not something that I hear every time or anything like that. But I hear it enough that it's it's a concern enough for me to talk about. And when I made a video about it, about how hey, photographers, we need to do better about learning and knowing how to work and edit all sorts of skin tones, right? I made a video like that, but I called it was my photography hot take, and I was like, this is not a hot take, this is just facts. This is not a hot take, this is just the reality of it, and it shouldn't be a hot take for me to say, hey, we should know how to work with all sorts of skin tones. At the very least, we should know how to not change the color of their skin or make them look, as I've heard many times people say, like ghosts. I've had my white clientele tell me before, hey, I've had photographers and they just brighten it up so much, I look like a ghost. Those are their words, not mine. I promise you. They told me I look like ghosts. I've had my people of color tell me I look orange or yellow, or I look like I have jaundice in the photos, or they just take away some of their color and stuff like that. And I've seen it and I've experienced it myself. So much so that now I have two photographers that I go to. They're my go-tos. They know who they are. They are my go-tos because they know how to work with everyone and anyone. And so that's what I want to talk about today. Okay, I want to talk about this issue of, of it still being an issue, of not knowing how to edit certain skin tones or any skin tones. And I want to talk about why it's an issue, what I've heard people tell me in the past about it, the insecurity that this leads them to and stuff like that. And I want to talk about my own personal experience with this because it's pretty funny. When I deal with it, I thought it was funny, but to other people it's not funny. It's not, but to me personally it was funny. And my advice on how you could fix this issue for yourself, for your business, because while I am very aware that we're not all going to work with every single demographic. I don't work with every single demographic, okay? I don't, and there will be demographics that I will probably never get to work with, not because there's some sort of I don't want to say the word, but racism or anything like that. No, there's nothing like that going on. It's just, I will probably never work with I don't know, a billionaire that lives in Beverly Hills or a multimillionaire that lives here in Austin, Texas. I don't know, okay? That might be rambling. What I'm trying to say is that I'm aware that we're not going to all work with every single demographic that exists, but that we should do a good job of trying to represent as many as we can in our portfolios at least. So, let's talk about my experience first and what I have seen in the past from my point of view as a photographer, okay? So as a photographer, I also need branding shots. I need headshots. I need day in the life things, casual images, blah, blah, blah. I also need photography as a photographer. And I do not want to set up my tripod, myself and do my own photos. And no, I'm going to go hire somebody. And so in the past, like when I first started my business way long ago, and I needed to establish my image out there, I went on Google and typed in, I'm sure like something along the lines of like, Austin, Texas, branding photographers or something like that. And of course, tons and tons of people would pop up and they would have beautiful photos on their portfolios, on their websites. I would check out their Instagram and stuff. But I'll tell you something, so many of them, I never found someone that looked like me in any of their examples, whether it was their size, whether it was their skin tone, their ethnicity, their style of clothing. Like, I just cannot tell you how many times I wouldn't find someone that looked like me a bit, even if it was just a bit. And it was an absolute reason for me not to reach out. From a business point of view, absolutely. Like, I was like, you're not going to know how to work with me. Like, you're not going to know how to pose a curvy girl. You're not going to know how to edit my darker skin complexion. Like, I don't wear dresses. I don't wear heels. Like, I'm not like your typical cutesy girl. Like, I'm like 100% like a 90s tomboy. Like, this morning, you know what I was doing? I was fishing. I was wade fishing with my girlfriend, knee deep in the water, catching bass. Like, that's what I was doing. That's the kind of girl I am. Like, I don't see myself in your portfolio, Mr. Photographer, or Mrs. Photographer. And so a lot of them I just scrolled past. And when it comes to my photography, I don't care about the price. Obviously, I have a budget, but like, I don't care if it's expensive. I don't care about the price. Okay. I go in there with like a high number because I want quality, and I wouldn't even glance at their prices or anything. I wouldn't even consider reaching out for information or anything, because I'm like, I don't even see myself in your examples. So I'm not going to reach out. So from a business point of view, you are setting yourself short for the many, many types of people that exist out there in the world. And again, I want to emphasize that I'm fully aware that we're not going to all work with all sorts of people and demographics. Like, I'm not going to work with every demographic under the sun. Like, I'm aware of that. But, weddings, seniors, families, like, I mean, human beings, like, we're all human beings. Like, there's going to be all sorts of shapes and sizes, right? And like, we should know how to properly edit it. And, there's an editing aspect of it. It's kind of like it's kind of like opening a can of worms. It feels like I'm really trying to like stay on topic, because there's so many different like paths and avenues that this subject can lead down. This can lead down like a strictly editing point of view, a strictly like, business wise clientele marketing point of view. This can deal through like an ethical point of view, right? Is what I was saying. There's a lot of ways that this can go down. And so I'm going to try to touch on each one, but keep it brief at the same time. But so from my experience, it took me forever to finally find my photographers. There's 2 of them that I go to all the time. Well, now 3. And they know how to edit my skin tone. Their portfolios showed that they have worked with all sorts of people, sizes, styles, skin tones, blah, blah, blah. Like, they showed me. And so I booked them, and they are my go-tos now. So I also know that there are photographers out there who, by no fault of their own, happen to just have one type of demographic continuously over the years. And that's not their fault. Like, it just is what it is. Okay? Like, it just is what it is. There's no deeper meaning behind it. It is what it is. Okay. So how would if I was in that position, I'm going to try to stop banging on that. If I was in that position, what would I do? What would I maybe like advise you to do, if that's you, to try to broaden your demographic so that you can market yourself as a photographer for anyone and everyone? Okay. So the thing that came to my mind first when I put myself in this position in my head was, okay, there's a lot of Facebook groups out there of photographers and models who don't want to pay for each other's work, but they are willing to collaborate and work together in exchange of each other's services. Okay. That's actually what I would recommend somebody in that position to do. Put your work out there. Okay. I would even maybe advise be super transparent and just be raw about it. Just kind of be like, hey, I'm really wanting to work with with people of all skin tones and skin types and sizes and whatever. And, I would love just a wide range of variety in models to work with and collaborate with so that, we can help each other and you will have free images and, in exchange for your time and stuff like that. And I see this all the time. There's like thousands of people on those Facebook pages. Trust me. And there's like hundreds of them per city, it feels like. And then just try to do that. Try to do some free shoots for a little bit and get that experience, and maybe just do like a little 30-minute, 1-hour session, if that. And, now you have some images to use and practice with. And, you'll figure out that skin tones are just like flowers. Like you don't have to do too much to it. As long as you get it right in camera the day of the shoot, like it'll be easy. So as far as like, how do I get people of all demographics to work with so that I can put them on my website, on my portfolio? I would say go to a Facebook group, network on there, connect with other people, exchange services. And now you have a bunch of photos that you can have on your website, on your Instagram, whatever, right? And that and people will now see that, like, hey, you work with other types of people, with all sorts of people, whatever. And this can be done also, just as a side note. This also, like, this tip that I'm giving you also applies to not just like skin tones, but it can also apply to like to reach like the LGBT demographic. And you're like, I don't know how to reach you guys. You like, go on there and just be out there like, hey, I want to work with more like same-sex couples. Like, please reach out to me. We can do a free shoot in exchange for your time. I just want to, work with you guys. Cause yeah, you're going to want to practice posing. The poses are totally different. Sometimes not totally different, but they're a little different for same-sex couples and stuff like that. There are so many situations that you could do this for. And I mean, the list just goes on, but just as a side note, this could also exist for that. So that's one way that I would go about this. And then when you have the images, make sure that you market them. Okay, make sure that you're putting them out there, you're talking about them, and you start getting more of those, and make sure you're posting them, showing them, really put them out there on your website so that people can see it. Because remember what I said when I was looking for a branding photographer all those years back, I would glance through their portfolio. If I didn't see anyone that looked even remotely like me, bye. Like, I was leaving their page. I'm like, you don't know how to work with somebody like me, and that's fine. But like, I want somebody who does. So yeah, put them out there. That's how I would fix that issue. And it is an issue because I don't think people's skin tone should be something that our clients are also worried about on top of their already, insecurities about doing a photo shoot and having this big scary camera in front of them. Like, their skin tone should not be an issue on top of that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. It is not a hot take. I think it's just facts. And it is something that I do hear quite often, enough for me to be like, hey, this is a concern. We need to talk about it. Something that I've experienced in the past. And so it needs to be talked about. And I think I gave you guys at least a way to start broadening your horizons, broadening your clientele. I gave you, you can now market yourself in that way. Make sure people feel comfortable because they're seeing themselves in your portfolio and your website. And now you will be another photographer who is not doing that and adding to the problem. You are providing a solution, and that is a very good thing. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Probably Editing Podcast. I mentioned this on the last episode, but if you guys have any questions that you would like me to talk about or answer in the next episode, please feel free to reach out back to me directly. You can send your questions to probablyeditingpodcast@gmail.com. I'll get like a fancy email here soon, but for now, that's the email. And yeah, I'll go over any answers to the questions you guys asked me in the next episode. And yeah, okay, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, whatever it is that you're doing on whatever platform. I would really greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.